Hello, chismosas y chismosos, and welcome back to Bay Area Housewife of True Crime, where I like to tell the stories of the real cucuys and lloronas of the world. I'm Audrey, a paralegal turned stay-at-home mom who loves true crime. The cases I cover are wild. Topics may be triggering. Viewer and listener discretion is strongly advised. The people mentioned are innocent until proven guilty in court. With all that being said, grab your hot Cheetos and let's get started on today's case. Andrea Yates is quite literally a real-life llorona who drowned her own children and cried "mis hijos" afterwards. At Andrea Yates' first trial, she was found guilty of filicide. At her second trial, she was declared innocent by reason of insanity. This is her story, but Andrea Yates is not an anomaly. According to the National Institute of Health, 1 out of every 1,000 women in the United States experience postpartum psychosis. On June 20th of 2001, Andrea Yates intentionally killed her 5 children: 7-year-old Noah, 5-year-old John, 3-year-old Paul, 2-year-old Luke, and 6-month-old baby Mary. Andrea had battled with mental illness for most of her life. She had attempted suicide on at least 2 occasions and had been hospitalized for psychiatric care several times. After giving her children the death bath, she carried each of them to the master bedroom and placed them on the bed and covered them with a bedsheet. I was quite literally aghast that some articles refer to the Yates babies as it, like carried it to the bed, and some refer to the murder of her 5 small children as a crime instead of the crimes. What would drive anybody to unalive their own children? Andrea P.I. Kennedy was born on July 2nd, 1964 in Houston, Texas, to Juta Karen Kohler and Andrew Emmett Kennedy. Andrea was the youngest of 5 children, the baby of the family, and by all accounts, she was the golden child. Her brother Brian, who was 45 when this catastrophe happened, told the press, and I quote, "I'm the black sheep of the family. When they talk about the brother with mental illness, that's me. I'm bipolar, the first to get arrested, the first to do drugs, the troublemaker." Andrea was the valedictorian of her high school senior class in 1982, captain of the swim team, part of the National Honor Society. Then she graduated from the University of Texas School of Nursing with a BSN degree. Andrea went to work for Houston MD Anderson Cancer Center for 8 years from 1986 through 1994. She met Rusty when they lived at the same apartment complex. Rusty was raised in Nashville, Tennessee, and he was a successful NASA engineer, making $80,000 a year, which is equivalent to approximately $145 today. Andrea and Rusty were married on April 17, 1993. They lived comfortably in a 4-bedroom house in Friendswood, Texas. After the birth of their first child, Noah, in February of 1994, Andrea became a stay-at-home mom. The Yates family believed in natural family planning. They did not use birth control and agreed to accept as many children as God would bless them with. For 6 months during a required work assignment, Rusty moved the family to Florida. While there, the family lived in a trailer home. When they moved back to Houston, they moved to a 350 square foot Greyhound bus they turned into a home. By this time, they had 3 babies. Rusty and Andrea had their babies back to back, and like all moms and many moms with small children, she grew delirious with little sleep. On June 16th of 1999, she reached a breaking point and called Rusty while he was physically at work and said that she was experiencing anxiety. When Rusty arrived home, Andrea was shaking, chewing on her fingers, and was barely able to muster that she needed help. The next day, Rusty drove Andrea and the children to his in-laws. After they got there, exhausted from the commute, while the family was napping, she took 40 trazodone tablets. Trazodone is a sedative that her dad's doctor had prescribed to him. Her mother found her in time to rush her to the emergency room, where she was treated and transferred to the Houston, Texas Methodist Hospital. Dr. James Flack diagnosed her there with severe major depressive disorder. A June 8, 1999 social work report filed by Norma Tauriak described Andrea as unwilling and not able to identify any recent life stressors. The social worker described Rusty was aware and accepting of his wife's issues and more willing to call her condition postpartum depression rather than saying what she was diagnosed with, which was severe major depression. Rusty described that Andrea was, quote, struggling with the concept of salvation. A June 23, 1999 report, after learning about their living conditions, Norma Tauriak, the social worker, called the Texas Child Protective Services hotline and said, as a rule, the patient and her husband and the 4 children live in a converted bus. Living arrangements and the fact that the patient husband allows the 3.5-year-old son to use a power drill, unquote. 7 days after that call to the hotline, a CPS supervisor too wrote back saying, and I quote, because the situation does not appear to involve the occurrence and or substantial risk of abuse or neglect, we plan no future inquiries. The letter also stated that her concerns had been forwarded to the Houston Police Department.